The first story in this gospel was even popular enough to be mentioned in the Quran.
So the Quran continued by saying, when you make out of the clay a figure like that of a bird by my permission, and God permitted Jesus, that Jesus, by my permission and with my power, breathed into it. And Jesus breathed into it. And then the clay being used to mold a bird by Jesus became a living bird. And Jesus left it. And it flew in the presence of people. So when Jesus breathed into the clay and the clay became a living bird, by the permission of God, God commanded the bird to fly. The bird to fly.
Every lost text about Jesus is filled with surprises. One manuscript, the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, is a startling collection of tales showing an immature child wielding supernatural powers.
The Infancy Gospel of Thomas begins with a scene with Jesus by a stream playing in the water and in the mud.
Jesus, playing in the mud, shows himself to be this creator, much as God himself played in the mud in Genesis and created the first human being.
But at the riverbank, Jesus doesn't form Adam in his own image. He creates something completely different.
He starts forming some sparrows out of the mud. And as he's doing this, a Jewish man walks by and sees what he's doing and gets upset because it's the Sabbath day. So Jesus is violating the Sabbath. He's working on the Sabbath. This is, of course, foreshadowing what's going to happen later on in his life when he gets into these controversies over Sabbath observance. Well, the man runs off to tell Jesus' father what he's done, and Joseph comes into the scene, and he sees his son there. He sees these sparrows made out of the mud, and he gets angry and says, "Jesus, what have you done? You violated the Sabbath."
Jesus responds by clapping his hands, and the clay pigeons take flight and fly away.
It is the first...
The bird to fly.
Clapping his hands, and the clay pigeons take flight and fly away.
It is the first miracle described in this gospel, a story meant to illustrate the mystical, godlike abilities within Jesus the child.
He's destroyed all evidence of malfeasance. And so it shows that Jesus can create life, so that he in fact has divine power in him, and it resolves the problem of him working on the Sabbath, that he in fact is the Lord of the Sabbath, even as a 5-year-old boy.
The bird to fly.
Quran chapter number 5, verse number 110. Quran chapter number 5, verse number 110. And then you use clay, and then you use clay to mold a bed. You breathed through it and it became a living. Be easily by the power of Allah.
Skeptic is in this channel's name, after all. With that, let's read this text, or at least one scholarly translation of it. When the boy Jesus was 5 years old, he was playing at the ford of a rushing stream, and he gathered the disturbed water into pools and made them pure and excellent, commanding them by the character of his word alone, and not by means of a deed. Then, taking soft clay from the mud, he formed 12 sparrows. It was the Sabbath when he did these things, and many children were with him. And a certain Jew, seeing the boy Jesus with the other children doing these things, went to his father Joseph, and falsely accused the boy Jesus, saying that on the Sabbath he made clay, which is not lawful, and fashioned 12 sparrows. And Joseph came and rebuked him, saying, "Why are you doing these things on the Sabbath?" But Jesus, clapping his hands, commanded the birds with a shout in front of everyone and said, "Go, take flight and remember me, living ones." And the sparrows, taking flight, went away squawking. When the Pharisee saw this, he was amazed and reported it to all his friends.
So the bird, which was molded with the clay, When it got to a place where no one can see it again, it fell down and it became a clay again. So
which bed? Bat. It's a bat. Ampine. Bat. And then you
Abraham, those are so one bond they be ni wiasimu. Those are so one bond they be ni wiasimu. Say
bat. And then you
bond wouldn't me your
bed. Which bed? Bat. It's a bed. Which bed? Bat. It's a bat. Ampine. Bat. And then you
unim we come on yama unim. Waba bonti disgracing home.
Which bed? Bat. It's a bat. Ampine. Bat. And then you breathe through it and it became a living. Be easily by the bed. Which bed? Bat. It's a bat.
So the bed, which was molded with the clay, when it got to a place where no one can see it again, it fell down and it became a clay again. So, can see it again, it fell down and it became a clay again. So
God have mercy upon us.